Hey there, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios, and this week it's How to Be an Artist Part 16, I think. Imposter Syndrome. Stick around. So, for those that may not know, imposter syndrome refers to a sort of mental state and belief that no matter what you've accomplished, no matter how much reward or recognition you've achieved in your life, that you feel in some way like a fraud, that at some point someone's going to be like, hey, that guy doesn't know what he's doing, get him out of here. And from my experience and from what I've learned about it over the years, every single creative person in the world, to some degree, experiences this almost constantly throughout their entire life. Doesn't matter what level of success they've achieved. They could own a company, they could have landed on the moon or what have you, or they could have recently put out a book, but or just simply, I finished a painting and I put it online, and there's this internal fear of being like, someone's going to call you out and say, you don't know what you're doing, you have no right to be doing what you're doing, get out of here, we never want to see you again. And this is something that I experience all the time. It is something that a lot of my creative heroes experience all the time, from interviews with them and things that I've heard over the years. And it's something that I think needs to be talked about more, because it's something that a lot of artists feel, but it's not something a lot of artists hear, that is a thing of like, hey, it's a lie, don't believe it, because your mind tells you to do a lot of things that aren't necessarily true. And imposter syndrome is one of those. So again, like the idea of imposter syndrome, it just feels like someone's gonna walk around, like eventually someone's gonna see me, and then they're just gonna go, "Get the f*** out of here!" So there's this constant fear, and in a lot of ways it prevents you from creating better work. Now, the best advice I ever heard from this was from one of my creative heroes in some way. I've talked about the guy over and over again on the channel before, but Adam Savage, host of the old YouTube show Mythbusters. He's in many ways very different from me in that he's very much an engineer, or I'm very much more visual creative. But he's definitely an artist in the sense of what he makes and the stories he envelops into the projects he does. And the advice that he gave in some interview I watched with him at least 6 or 8 years ago now, and it was things like, well, how do you get past imposter syndrome? And his advice was, we just keep working. And it might sound really dumb and simple to say it that way, but that's in a lot of ways how I've approached it, especially ever since hearing him talk about it. It's like, everyone experiences imposter syndrome, but how do you solve it? You don't solve it. You're going to feel it forever, but you just don't stop working. And this, I think, doesn't just apply to imposter syndrome. It applies to a lot of different things. So feeling inadequate as an artist, feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not at their level, so why should I try? You only really ever fail as a creative if you stop trying. So if you have the drive, as long as you keep working, as long as you keep working at it, you will never actually fail. That with an asterisk, because a lot of times, you fail all the time. That's how you learn. You have to fail to learn. But you don't really ever become the imposter if you don't give up. And I know that might sound a little cheesy, like, hey, keep working, don't give up. But like, that's really the core of it. Because if you give up, then they are right. then you don't deserve where you've gotten because you gave up. But if you keep working, you can always, always, always prove them wrong. Always. And I would rather keep working to prove them wrong than to give up and prove that they're right. So as far as imposter syndrome goes for all creatives of any mindset, any skill level, anything, you're going to reach a point in your life, whether that be the thing you just put online and are crossing your fingers hoping people like and don't dismiss you entirely, or putting out a product or successfully starting a business or whatever you happen to do in your creative life. You're going to reach a point where you're afraid of people finding out that you're just making it up as you go along. I think there's that line from that Harrison Ford delivered in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like, oh, you have a plan. It's like, what, are you kidding? I'm making this up as I go along. But the truth is, especially for my younger audience watching, being an adult is not I've got it all figured out. It's I'm making it up as I go along. And some things work, some things don't. But the important thing to remember is as long as you keep trying, you will always push through that. And you may not be good enough now to where you want to be, but by the time you are where you want to be for that shooting mark, you're going to have another mark to go for. But I think that's also another topic for another day. Keep striving, keep creating. The only way to deal with imposter syndrome in any capacity is to just keep working. So those are my thoughts for this particular segment of How to Be an Artist. But I'm curious, your guys' thoughts on imposter syndrome, if you've experienced it, know somebody who has experienced it maybe to more of an extreme, or are struggling with this idea of being like, they're going to find out, they're going to find out. They're not going to find out because you're making it up, they're making it up, and you're just making it up together, and you're trying to put on a front for them, and it's a whole other level of things that's like, it's not as complicated as you're probably making it up here. But I'm really curious on your guys' thoughts on this and everything like that. And with every video I put out, it's always one of those things where it's like, there's going to be somebody that's like, you don't know what you're doing, get off of YouTube. And to be fair, I've had a couple of those, but most of those I've just laughed at. But yeah, so imposter syndrome. Definitely a thing for creatives, not just strictly visual artists, but all creatives are going to deal with that, deal with it to some degree. And yeah, that's I think about all I have to say. So thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts in comments below. For more on the How to Be an Artist series, a lot of this weird philosophical stuff, I've got a whole playlist on it called Philosophy of an Artist. You can check out all the parts of this series there. Thanks guys for watching. Keep on creating. I mean, really, keep on creating. And I will see you guys next time. Damn, is it hot. Just sweating. I should move into the studio now. Jeez. It's crazy.